And we're pleased to welcome Joe Hassett into the 401 podcast, videocast, YouTube preview, all sorts of names for this newfangled world. Joe, how you doing down there?
Doing great. Quarantined here at home. Just had a little hernia surgery, so I'm on my second week here. So it's good. I can't shovel. I can't do anything. So my wife has to do everything. So it's just great. I don't have to do a thing.
Now, is this a convenient excuse, or do you have a doctor's note that you cannot shovel?
Doctor's note. Can't lift more than 15 pounds. So, I mean, hey, I'm not going to go out there and lift anything more than that.
I'm with you. I don't have a doctor's note or an excuse, but my plow guy did a pretty good job yesterday.
My plow guy came, but, you got to do all the other walkways and all that stuff, dig the car out.
Sure.
But I took a pass on that, Kevin.
Joe, before we go into the Friars and the Big East basketball, how depressing is it to get 8 or 9 inches in December? I know you like to play golf on January 1st.
Yeah, I play winter golf all the time. But in this case, it's not going to happen this year. I mean, the greens aren't going to be open, and forget it. So, Hey, I can't play for 6 weeks anyway, so it's a good time to have some snow. This is the most snow we've had. Well, we had 13 inches, and we had that all last year, 13 inches of snow.
Yeah, we can't have that. Hey, how about my friends up in upstate New York? Syracuse actually didn't get it awful, but Binghamton, which is about an hour and a half south of Syracuse, 40 inches.
Yeah.
They won't be playing golf until May.
That's it. It's not gonna happen.
No, it really isn't. So, Joe, it's been a strange time because obviously the Friars are supposed to play it a couple times, but they've been postponed due to COVID. Ed Cooley has spun it that it's more of a exam break. They've had exam breaks almost this long. This is a little longer than a usual exam break. As a player, is that you kind of roll with the punches? This isn't that bad of a situation?
Well, it's a totally different situation, I guess, than they're used to. I'm trying to put myself in their position, Kevin, and hey, they probably have it better than most of us. We're all stuck in the house. At least they get to go into the gym and they get to hang out with each other. They're not getting to play as many games as they would like, but I'm glad they're playing. When you think about what's going on, I mean, it's tough on these kids mentally. I mean, than anything, psychologically. Juniors and seniors, you don't get to play. You're stuck on campus, but at least they get to go to the gym and work out and be around people, and they're getting to travel. I mean, they're going to go to New Jersey to play Seton Hall on Sunday, right? But, they weren't able to go on a couple other road trips. We missed Maui, of course. I mean, that was kind of tough. But I'm glad they're playing, though. I think it's important they're playing. I thought Mike Krzyzewski's deal about he didn't want to play, I thought that that's kind of being selfish. Let these kids play. I mean, it's find a way to get it done for them. If the NFL can do it, and, golf is doing it. Everybody's trying to keep something normal. And a lot of these kids, I mean, they don't even know they have it if they do have the COVID, but they're tested twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. So I think that schools are doing a really good job of keeping these guys, able to play.
And, college football has fought on. They keep playing. Obviously, an awful lot of cancellations and postponements, and there certainly will be more for the Friars. Just hopefully no one in their tier 1, their pod, test positive. That would be quite a curveball. But Providence has done a good job. I know you talk to, the trainers and the doctors and whatnot, and they've been on it since the kids really came back in late August, correct?
Oh, they're all over it. I mean, they won't let anybody in the gym, and they've done a really good job. I mean, I went to practice one day, and they're out there in masks, Kevin. I mean, I can't imagine having a 2-hour practice playing in a mask. I mean, the last 15 minutes, the coach is out of his mind normally and makes you run sprints and suicides and all that stuff. And you can't even breathe at that point anyway. And then you got a mask on to do it. So these guys are going through a lot. I mean, it's making them mentally tough, that's for sure. These guys will come out of this with a great situation about being mentally tough, that's for sure.
No question. Joe, I'm curious what your observations in the first 6 games of the season. It's very clearly a team that has an awful lot of upside and an awful lot of work to do to reach that upside. But they've progressed. You can see over the course of those 6 games, they've made steady steps, with obviously the pinnacle being a really good performance at TCU.
Yeah, I mean, that TCU game was really good. I mean, going into that game, I was a little worried. You know, when I watched the game against Indiana and Alabama, they looked overmatched in both those games. I mean, they got a nice win against a good Davidson team. They eked it out, didn't play well, but I thought they did enough to win the game. But, you know, you look at Duke. I mean, Duke is like, he's NBA ready, that guy. I mean, he's 6'5". He's out there, he's playing the point, he's playing the two, he plays the three. He's the best defender on the team. He's a great guy to have on your team. He's a guy you can go to when things aren't going well. And Watson inside's an old school, you know, center. I mean, you don't see centers like Watson anymore. You know, he's not a three-point shooter. Everybody can shoot threes, but he can't. But he gets inside and he posts up pretty well. You know, after that, it's kind of a little bit of a mystery. I think Reeves, he needs to lose about 15 pounds, in my opinion. I mean, I think he's gotten so big and strong. I mean, he's spent too much time in the weight room. I'm trying to analyze him. I'm saying, you know, you look at the great shooters in the country right now, especially in the pros. You know, you took a Seth Curry, Klay Thompson. You don't see any bulging muscles on those guys. They just can shoot it. The two kids in Miami, the kid Hero, he's a long, lean guy. When Reeves came into Providence, he was long and lean, 6'6", jumped to the moon, have a great jump shot. Now he looks like he's running around with a piano on his back. I think he just got too big.
You know, it's curious. I've kind of seen the same, but because we don't see them in person, you know, and up close like we usually do, that's what it looked like to me over the television as well. I saw them in North Carolina. I was far away, but I was at the games. And then I'm thinking to myself, you know, Joe Hassett, you know, my son Joe was a good shooter. He couldn't put the ball on the floor and go by anybody, okay? And that's what I'm seeing with A.J. Reeves. And this is a kid who I saw an awful lot in prep school and AAU, and he could go by people. He'd go by people and dunk. And now he seems as if he's just a catch-and-shoot guy. You know, you were a good catch-and-shoot guy, but you could go by some people. What's the difference? What does he have to do to add that part to his game?
Well, you know, he had that part, and when I look at him, I'm partial to shooters, obviously. But, you know, I remember one year, my second year in the NBA, like I played at 185 at Providence College my whole career. Well, my freshman year, I was like 170. I was really skinny. But I played at 185 the whole time. And then my rookie year, I went at 185, and I felt like, hey, I need to get a little bit bigger like everybody else. At 6'5", I felt like, let me put 200. I want to get to 200 pounds, 205 pounds. So I worked really hard that summer with the weights, a lot of eggs, protein, build up some muscle. I got to training camp. You know, I wasn't the fastest guy in the world. I wasn't slow, but I wasn't the fastest. When I got to training camp, I was a step slower. It was because of the weight. I dropped that weight in 2 weeks, 15 pounds. I was back to my playing weight at 185. And I could do the things I was used to doing that got me to that point. I think that's what AJ needs to do. I mean, I'm just an observer. I mean, he can do what he wants, but I think he's gotten too big and he's lost his flexibility. I mean, you can't make 2 shots in a row anymore. That guy, remember the Boston College game? I mean, he didn't miss. I mean, he made everything, but his jump shot was I mean, 6'6". He got off the ground like 5 feet on a jump shot. I mean, he was unguardable. And now he just looks like he's running around with a piano on his back. He needs to lose some weight. Now, after him, you need that third guy to be the scorer. I think you need a third guy that you can go to. You know, I think they had to do it by committee now. You know, you have Bynum, I think, is going to be a good player. He's still learning. You know, he sat out all last year, but he's learning whether to take the shot or be the passer. I think in their context of their offense, I like to see him come down and get everybody involved in the offense early, get people in where they can score. And then when you're open, take your shot. I think he's looking for a shot a lot in the beginning, trying to establish himself. Get everybody else established and then look for your shot. I think he's a very good player. I'm not worried about him at all. He's very comfortable out there.
Yeah, Joe, interestingly on Bynum, if you go back and look at his stats from his 1 year at St. Joseph's, you know, he had games where he was pushing 20 points, would make 2 or 3 3-pointers, still get his, you know, 4, 5, 6 assists. I believe there was a game against Rhode Island. I think the line was 18 points, 6 assists, 2 threes, and a couple steals. I'm not saying that he can do that consistently in the Big East, but he can do that. And we haven't seen anything close to that offensively. I don't think he's hit 1 3-pointer. He's a decent shooter. He's not a great shooter. He's a decent shooter. He hasn't shown that. And boy, that would add so much and would help, obviously, AJ and David Duke. The other guy who's clearly coming on and has an awful lot of potential is Greg Gant. Excellent defender. He's got a huge challenge Sunday. I think he's going to see that Sandro Mamukelashvili an awful lot. at Seton Hall. But do you like his offensive upside, Greg Gant?
Yeah, I like his game. He's an Ed Cooley type player. He always has one guy like that on his team, a guy that's like an intangible guy. You go out there and be physical at the 3, physical at the 4 if you want to put him there. He can stretch the defense where he can make an occasional 3. He's not a great shooter. I wouldn't want a steady diet of him shooting the ball, but he's very athletic. He gets after it, and he's physical. When you get on the road and the games, right now road games aren't really road games. They're like AAU tournaments because there's no emotion. But you get out on the road with a guy like him, the game gets physical. You want him in the game because he's going to throw his body around. He's a good guy to have on every team. I like his upside. I think Gant will really help.
The other, I think, player who hasn't shown Friar fans what he can do, and again, go back and look what he's done previously in his career, is Noah Harkler. I think he's the best rebounder in the team right now. His rebounds per minute blow away everybody else. He has good form on his shot. The ball just hasn't gone in yet, or hasn't gone in consistently enough. He's another guy who they really need to just click into gear quickly.
Yeah, he's a lot like Bynum. Those two guys sat out all last year, and they're trying to fit in. Personality-wise, you're on a team. You came to a team new. The other guys were there already, and you want to make sure you can fit in there and be accepted by everybody. That's the toughest part of when you come to a new team. And Hockler, to me, looks like he's like in between whether he should take the shot or not take the shot. He's a good shooter. When I first saw him at practice last year when he was sitting out, he made some great moves, pump fake, go to the basket and dunk on somebody. Then he can make a three-pointer. He's got that shot. Once those guys get comfortable and get into a rhythm, like most of Ed's teams, they start off slow, and then the guys get more comfortable as they move along and start making shots. But he and Bynum, Hockler's definitely the best rebounder team. He was averaging about 8 rebounds a game. Now, when you consider Diallo was in that position for 4 years, Diallo averaged about 8 rebounds a game in his career at Providence. Hockler's that guy picking up the slack there on the rebounding side. And I think he could be a little better scorer than Alpha.
Right. Joe, I know you watch a lot of games as I do. I'm curious what you see in the Big East, and we'll start at the very top with Villanova and Creighton.
Well, I love Villanova. They're a team. They played just well enough to beat you. The other night they were down 18 at Georgetown, but you never felt like they were going to lose the game. They're just very smooth out there. All 5 guys can make a three-pointer. They spread you out, but they can put it on the floor. They're very good defensively. If you watch them defensively, their principles. They switch everything, and they front the post. That's what they do all the time. And they always have weak side help. So everybody knows what they're supposed to do on a defensive end. And when they get the ball out, if they have a 7 or 8 point lead on you, it's like a 20-point lead. They just control the pace, and they all can score. Creighton is fun to watch. I love to play for Creighton. They have 5 guys on the floor. They run up and down the floor. They shoot it in 10 seconds, and it's all three-pointers. So, they're in every game. And they can blow you out in a hurry. They did that the last game. It was a close game for a little while, and then boom, they just wasted St. John's and made everything. So those 2 teams are good. The Seton Hall team that Providence is going to play Sunday, I think is very good. They didn't get the preseason accolades that they did because they lost the 2 starting guards who were great. One of them was one player of the year. But I think they're very good. Mamu is an excellent player. He's 6'11". He can run the break. He's the best passer on the team. Kale for Seton Hall can shoot the 3. He's a great defender. But I watched the game last night, Seton Hall against Creighton, Marquette. That was a war. That was like the old Big East games. They were getting after it. And Seton Hall is terrific defensively. They're physical. They can bang. They got a shot blocker inside. I think they're going to be very good. Seton Hall. It's going to be a tough game for the Friars. So then you look at the Friar team. Friars are going to be right in the mix. Xavier's 7-0, and they beat the snot out of Oklahoma the other night. Now, Oklahoma, I watched that game, Kevin. Oklahoma beat TCU by 4. It was a great game. And I said, wow, TCU's going to be a tough game for Providence. Providence beats them down there, which is a great win. But Oklahoma, I thought, was very good. Xavier scored 99 points on them.
Right.
Just beat them to death. They won at Cincinnati, which is a really grudge matter, by 10. So that team is they're going to be good. They were picked 7th in the Big East. So there's a lot of good teams in the Big East.
How about this, Joe? The NCAA just any transfer who decided to skip this year purposely, they waived that so you could be instantly eligible. It really affects the Big East. Xavier, you got a kid from, I think it's Hampton. His name is Ben Stanley, 6'6", 6'7". He averaged 20 points a game last year at Hampton.
Wow.
He's instantly eligible on a team that's 7-0. Creighton got Alex O'Connell eligible. He was going to come to Creighton from Duke for 1 year. You'd love him. 6'5", 6'6", white kid, can really shoot. Just another weapon for Creighton. Those guys are instantly eligible, and both played. O'Connell played last night. We'll see what Ben Stanley does. I can't imagine he wouldn't be in their top. Eventually, by the end of the year, Ben Stanley will start for Xavier. He's that good. So both of those teams are elevated. I was impressed with Butler the other night. They hadn't played for almost 2.5 weeks. They go into Villanova and they give them a strong push for 30 minutes and then get tired and fade. You can never overlook Butler. There's an awful lot of – oddly, two of the bottom teams, St. John's and Georgetown, offensively, they're both pretty good. They don't guard many people, but they can get up and down and put points on the scoreboard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the balance is very good. Another guy who's eligible right now, you didn't mention the kid from Seton Hall. The kid from Harvard who transferred in from Harvard.
He's a good player.
He's going to be good for them. I mean, he's still trying to feel his way. It's like Bynum at Providence. He's trying to feel his way, but that kid's going to be terrific too. So, hey, the league is going to be good. And when that instantly available players like that, now you have to find minutes for everybody. But Xavier had another kid, I think his name is Johnson, who made like 4 threes in the game against Oklahoma. I said, where's this come from? I mean, he shoots the lights out too. I mean,
no, they've done a great job with their transfers for sure. So, Joe, I think my Zoom ends in like 30 seconds. So I have to say goodbye, but I trust that you'll Zoom with us again sometime this year, maybe even soon. We'll see.
Well, absolutely. It's nothing else to do, right, Kevin? Let's talk hoops, man.
All right. See you, Joe. Thank you very much.